and ultimately validated by Oprah, whose meatier, weighty exploration of dysfunction and unhappy endings put the concept on the map, and perhaps introduced the need for wine at book club meetings so as not to lose hope completely. Our book club was started in 2004 by Annelle Barrett, who owns Between the Covers bookstore, which takes up the bottom floor of the historic home she lives in. It sits just OTP, which is Atlanta shorthand for outside the perimeter, aka I-285, the highway that encircles the city, kind of like the early settlers' circling of the wagons, and separates the city folk and the suburbanites. Annelle, who is a practical sort of woman, never saw a reason to give the book club a name or confine it to a single genre. She just wanted more readers in the store, and so she picked a book she thought people would like, wrote the title up on the chalkboard behind the register, and offered a 20% discount to anyone who joined the book club. Then she promised there'd be wine. The food to soak up the wine and allow members to drive home legally came later. There were 5 of us, including my friend and neighbor Mina Parker, at that first meeting in the carriage house behind the store to discuss the secret life of bees. The next month, there were 10 for the Jane Austen Book Club. He's Just Not That Into You, requested by then 25-year-old twins Wesley and Phoebe, who kept falling in love with the same commitment-phobic guys, took us to 15 members. I chose this club over the one that started in our neighborhood because I love everything about Between the Covers and the carriage house behind it, and also because my neighbors liked to talk about one another more than the books. Plus, a few doors from home is not far enough away to avoid coming back for an especially messy meltdown, a lost cell phone, or a science project that is suddenly and inexplicably due. Over the last 14 years, we've read 154 books, which Annelle has duly recorded in an official book club binder that she keeps at the front desk. The group swells and shrinks. We've had 2 different sets of siblings, mothers and daughters, best friends, work friends, and the occasional frenemy. Some members have left, never to be seen again. Others have come back. One member joined as Carl and transitioned to Carlotta, and both of them totally rocked their skinny jeans in a way I've always dreamed of. We've tried out nearby restaurants and bars, but we always end up back at the carriage house. It's a reassuring and comforting constant in a world that can take you by surprise. Like the day I realized that Nathan, my husband of 30 years, had been rewriting our personal history. At first, the revisions were so small I barely noticed. A minor detail reinterpreted. A tiny triumph appropriated and then repeated until it became an undisputed part of our marital history. I never made a conscious decision to allow it, but I didn't call him on his embellishments either. Which, in case you're wondering, is the emotional equivalent of faking orgasms and then being doomed to non-orgasmic lovemaking for the rest of your married life. This is how he became the star of our life together, and I became the supporting player. At the moment, he's packing the things I laid out for him into the suitcase I left open on the bed. I started letting him think he was actually packing way before the creators of prepackaged meals began putting just enough pre-measured ingredients in a box to convince the person assembling them that they were actually cooking. The first time I did this, the suitcase was made of cardboard. The mattress it sat on was lumpy, and the red and blue striped tie I bought him for his first sales trip came from the sale rack at TJ Maxx. Thanks for picking up the dry cleaning. Nathan stops long enough to flash me a smile. At 58, his hairline is in retreat and his features have begun to blur, but his dark eyes still crinkle at the corners when he smiles, and he can still make a person feel like the most fascinating being on the planet. No problem. I don't bother to explain that I haven't dropped off or picked up the dry cleaning for a good 10 years now.